Making of the Mob on AMC
is my show.
Miniseries on Mob Mondays, and this is Rich Graff. Rich,
hey, Marc.
Welcome to the Berman Show.
Thank you for having me. Having a great time. Having a great time in AC. I'm loving it here.
You know, AMC really knows what they're doing. America can't get enough of mob shows. Every Monday they have a mob flick,
right,
and then the series.
Right. So
you play Lucky.
Right.
Talk about the series.
Well, as you said, AMC has a history of finding jewels in the rough. You know, is a good term to describe it. You take the gentleman from Mad Men. No one knew who he was before he booked that show, and now he's he's a star.
Yes.
And that's a great thing about networks that are not network like NBC, CBS. They have that ability to kind of go off the cusp and go across the grain, which is totally like me,
Absolutely.
And I can't thank AMC enough for the opportunity, Stephen David Entertainment enough for not only making the show but making me the lead actor, the star of the show. It was great. As you said, it premieres June 15th, which is next Monday.
Yeah.
The show, The Making of the Mob, is on at 10 p.m. But every Monday, they will be featuring one of the greatest mob films ever made, such as The Godfather, Casino, Goodfellas, Carlito's Way.
Yeah.
Which will segue into our show. 8 weeks. It starts on June 15th, and I believe the last episode is on August 4th, which would be the first Monday of August.
And as narrator of the show,
Ray Liotta.
That's
yes.
huge.
Yeah. Oh, Ray is awesome. He's done a great job. He's been totally in tune with the show. And he loves it. I've been getting a lot of tweets from him, and he's really excited to see the premiere, as we all are. Yeah.
Rich, as I said before, people crave this. There was a series about Atlantic City.
Yeah. Yeah.
A whole series
Boardwalk
based
Empire.
On Atlantic City.
All right.
However, in your series, which encompasses the mob and the families across the country, not just Atlantic City,
right.
Talk about episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2. There is a really great scene where the leader of the mafia in New York, I think it was Masseria, actually is encouraging me to talk to Al Capone, because Al Capone had just infiltrated the great St. Valentine's Day Massacre. And I don't want to give too much away about the show.
No, don't.
But let's just say that things are coming down hard, not only in New York, in terms of the speakeasies and stuff, but even more so down here. So Enoch Nookie Johnson wants to have a meeting down here, and you have all of the heads. You have myself, Lucky Luciano, you have all the other cast members, you have Al Capone, and then you have Enoch here. And, he's really distraught about what's going on because of what's happened with Al. And, and things flare up, things, get a little bit heated. And, there's decisions to be made, and not everyone's too happy about it. But I eventually kind of broker a deal between Enoch and Al Capone. The best thing about our show, and, whenever you watch a lot of these mafia films, and they don't even have to be mafia, you talk about like The Departed or anything that has to do with stuff that's kind of, in that vein. Sometimes it does become stale. It becomes it's becoming a cliche, because anybody can play a tough guy and speak with an Italian accent and wear like these fine clothes. But what Stephen David Entertainment and AMC has brought you is something that's original and very, very accurate and very, very well done in terms of the period. Aesthetically, it looks magnificent. It totally looks like we're in the 1920s. We were filming in Martinsburg, West Virginia. And they took over this, what appeared to be an abandoned shirtwaist factory, and turned it into the Lower East Side of Manhattan in the 1920s. So we had the gravel road. You had all the street signs that looked like, it's magnificent. And it's very well done. All the actors, the crew on set. I mean, there wasn't a day that I was there that it seemed like work. it became very, very family-like and was that much easier. And that's what really, when you have that kind of cohesiveness between the cast, it really benefits the work.
You're in the opening scene, and we encourage people to go to AMC to check this out. And you can check it out on YouTube, too. It's very powerful. It's a very powerful opening scene.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier, and you said that they have you at a younger age, and then they have you at an older age.
Right.
So is this show showing your life from birth?
Well, it shows, of course, it's really the birth of the mafia, which Lucky Luciano kind of organized, quote unquote. So yes, it's really about my life, but it's about these immigrants that came here and developed this business, if you will. I mean, it wasn't just like always crime. They were involved in trying to discover their own version of the American dream. My parents were also immigrants from Sicily. I was born here. And these people, like Lucky Luciano, was an immigrant from Sicily. He came here by about the age of 4 or 5. Meyer Lansky was a Russian Jewish immigrant, came here as well. You have Bugsy Siegel, and they were friends with each other. There's a 4-year-old version of me that comes off of the boat on Ellis Island.
Yes, and there's an actor that portrays.
Right, there's a young child. Then they have a teenage version of not only myself, of Lucky, but they have a teenage version of Meyer. And they also have a teenage version of Bugsy. And then you see them kind of growing up and like cutting school and fighting with each other first to steal. And then they have the respect of each other. And then they beat up other people. And they become their own little crew, And I think that's where that kind of loyalty comes in. It's not only the fact that they grew up with each other, but they're the first generation American kind of people that, their parents would never understand what America was like because they were born and raised somewhere else, but they have it ingrained in that they were born here and they have that first opportunity to make it here, and that's what they did.
You're an actor and you're really pulling this off very well,
right?
Because let's face it, you've just finished another production we can't talk about, but it's going to be a very big movie next year.
Right.
You were just in a movie with Heather Graham.
Yeah, I did. We all know who Anthony Edwards is from ER. He was Goose in Top Gun. And so he directed his first film last year, about a year and a half ago, called My Dead Boyfriend. And John Corbett from My Big Fat Greek Wedding and Heather Graham, of course, are married in the beginning of the film. And John passes away. And all these people start to come and talk to Heather, which her name is Mary in the film, and tell him all this stuff about her husband that she never knew. So the film flashes back. And in her past, I'm the drummer of her band. She's in a rock band, and we're dating. And she goes through all these kind of self-discoveries and discoveries about her man. It's a great film. It's a great premise, and it's very, very trending because everything from the 80s is back now. Like ripped jeans, tie-dye shirts.
Yes.
The only thing I hope that doesn't come back is those Z Cavaricci jeans and what were those outfits? The Todd one or the Sergio Tacchini suits. Oh my God! For the making of the mob, they when I initially went in, I went in for Bugsy Siegel, who was a tall gentleman, and then I went in for another role and another different role. Like every time, it was 4 different auditions, and finally, the casting director, Stephen David, called me and said, "Listen, we love you. The director loves you. All you have to do now is put on brown contacts, dye your hair black, put on a suit, send the pictures into AMC executives, and if they okay you, you're in." And I'm like, okay. Luckily, of course, I got the role. But as you said, I really enjoy being versatile because in this business, it's very, very easy to become pigeonholed.
Yes. Into
a role, into a type.
Yes.
And I don't want to do that. We had our little live show yesterday with a couple of dignitaries and stuff in Atlantic City. And, people were looking at the preview, and they looked at me and back at the preview, and they were like, "Who is that? Is that your brother or something?"
Yes.
And I enjoy that. I love it. But in terms of getting into the role, honestly, I grew up in New York City, and I love the mafia genre. Number one, growing up as a first generation American Sicilian, I knew the language. I visited there many times. So when I used to watch Godfather, these were all actors who were born in Sicily, who really knew what that was like and brought that to the film. And so you can kind of study that. You can see what's behind the eyes, and that's kind of what I used. People I grew up with also helped. I mean, You know, I grew up around that with people that were very much into that lifestyle. And at an early age, you didn't realize who and what they were doing, but you know, eventually you understood.
Making of the Mob, Rich Graff, AMC, Mondays. Let's talk about you.
Sure.
Before this, you've done TV, you've done other shows. Give us a list of some of the things you've been in.
Yeah, so you have, you know, Law and Order. You have 30 Rock that I've done. I mentioned the Heather Graham film. I had a small role on the Insurgent film that just came out recently. I did a lot of webisode stuff, a lot of short films. But the short films that I've done have actually done really well. I had a film that was in the short corner film section of the Cannes last year. We had I won an award, a Maverick Award for another film for the best fight scene in a short film. So, and I've been doing this for only about 4 years or so, but it's always something that I wanted to do. You know, I took the, you know, the road, traveled more than anywhere else, you know, going to college and getting a graduate degree and doing everything that my mom and dad kind of wanted me to do. But I was always drawn to television, putting on a show. You know, I was always the one that when the band was eating dinner at a wedding, I would get up on stage and take over the, you know, I was always the one that I was upstairs in the kitchen upstairs when my parents were downstairs watching TV, and I was making my own commercials for an Entenmann cake or something.
Sure,
that's
where it begins.
Yeah, it's all in the head, you know. And people used to look at me like I was crazy. Like when everyone wanted to play, I wanted to make a movie, and you know it was always going on in my head. I love it. I love putting on a show and a story.
But you only decided 4 years ago to go into acting.
Well,
look what you've done.
Yeah, you know. I consider myself very lucky.
That's a testimonial to your skills.
Thank you.
Rich Graff, you are absolutely spectacular. And
Thank
here
you.
on the Berman Show, we're going to follow what you're doing. People can go to BermanLive.com. You can listen to this interview again. You'll be able to listen to this interview anywhere because we are now following this show at 3 o'clock. You'll find us on Blog Talk Radio. Go to Berman Live. And then this interview will live on iTunes and SoundCloud. Rich Graff, couple shout-outs. Thanks for coming in, by the way.
Oh,
man.
No problem. Thank you for having me, Mark. I just want to thank, Stephen David Entertainment, AMC Network for putting the Making of the Mob on every Monday at 10 p.m. starting the 15th. And everyone part of my crew, Susan Ferris over at Bohemian Management, Carson Colger Agency, the Pity Pat Makeup Club that did the makeup. Everyone on board, and thank you. Thank you, Atlantic City.
Are you looking for something that sucks less on the radio? Search is over now. You got a new place to go.